I would say if the authorities didn't want us involved in the public square, they ought not to have crucified Jesus in the public square.
Use humanistic principles.
Well, I would say,
same idea.
I would say
same
that.
end.
I would say, what's the problem with stardust bumping into stardust?
In the cosmic picture, no, there's no problem. In the cosmic picture, it won't matter.
No, Mr. President, you are not protecting reproductive freedom. You are authorizing the destruction of freedom for 1 million little human beings every year.
I'm sorry, my friends, but I am tired of seeing Jesus presented as a weak beggar. He is a powerful Savior, and the gospel is not a suggestion, it is a command.
Reverend Mola, don't you sympathize with that?
I sympathize with every single human heart wishing to know the one true and living God, but I believe there's only one way that can happen, through Jesus Christ, and the gospel is about repenting of sin, not celebrating it.
Right now, you're on the threshold of an amazing adventure. We will explore the spiritual abyss. You have not experienced this before. You're gonna love it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Apologia Radio. This is the gospel heard around the world. Apologia Radio, APOLOGIA Studios.com. ApologiaStudios.com is where you guys go get all the past episodes, the podcasts, the radio shows. That is Luke the Bear.
What up?
And I'm Jeff the Coleman Ninja. And, of course, we are joined today by King Ginger.
Hello.
Marcus Pittman.
Did you get the sprinkles out of your beard?
I did.
Good.
I did.
We had cupcakes today.
Yeah.
From Sprinkles.
Yeah, for Isaac's birthday.
Best cupcakes.
They were white sprinkles all on that big old ginger beard.
It was.
They're the best.
It was like decorations.
Isaac Baingas.
Isaac Baingas.
Isaac Benegas, our man on the back.
Not today, though.
He's not. He's gone because it's his birthday, I think.
El Carmino's back today.
That's right. Hey, Carmen, you want to come in and say hi? Tell everyone hello.
Hi.
Carmen. Is he even set up so they can hear him? He's probably not. He's like, I don't want anybody to know who I am. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Apologia Radio. Guys, important year ahead of us. This is my favorite. Actually, in all the years that we've been doing Apologia Radio, close to like a decade now, one of my favorite times was the election last season. The election season was just the greatest. So much content, so much to work with.
I had a fun day yesterday, let me tell you.
I know, sharing all those amazing memes.
There were some good ones.
Of Grandma Goo Goo.
Grandma Goo Goo.
Grandma Goo Goo. Did you make that up, or is that?
No, I got it from Dennis Miller.
Dennis Miller
he
called
used to come on like Hannity and stuff,
Yeah.
and what's his face? They got canned. Anyways, he used to come on there and talk about Grandma Goo Goo.
Grandma Goo Goo.
Petty Pelosi.
You guys, the thing that was I was watching it live, and I think I even messaged Luke in the middle of watching it. Like, her face, it's worth watching the entire State of the Union address. Just listen to what President Trump is saying, but watch Grandma Goo Goo. Like, it is amazing.
She can't control herself.
She's talking to people. Like, it's like, who are you talking to? She's
I don't
making
think Mike
these.
Pence is having a conversation with you.
She's making these weird eyes the whole time. It's
playing
like
with her dentures.
Yeah, it's really something else, man. Just to watch.
Subtly preparing to rip the.
Yeah, did you see her? That's the best part.
Yeah.
So
hold on, Zach Morgan, I'll cut you. He's trolling us.
Is he?
He's in the other room. That's why I yelled.
What's he doing?
I saw someone come in there talking about a satanic symbol in flat earth, and I was like ready to ban him, and I see it's Zach Morgan.
our fellow pastor.
He's in the other room. That's why I'm yelling. Sorry, go ahead.
Nice. So I was. Well, we're going to review it today. So you're here. Welcome to Apologia Radio. We're going to do the State of the Union address, talk about some stuff, and we're going to talk about the Iowa caucus debacle, the Democratic situation happening. We're trying to figure out who's going to run against President Trump. Of course, we want to talk about
who's going to lose the president.
That's true. Yeah, we're going to talk about all this in light of a biblical worldview. We're going to try to address these cultural issues from a Christian perspective with a grounding in the Word of God. But we're also planning to have some fun because this is some neat stuff. I mean, you have to admit, as much as it's like the most awful display of just a breaking of decorum and just the most adolescent, asinine behavior with Grandma Gugu, it was very entertaining.
It's reality television.
It is reality television, but she's the president. State of the Union address, and the woman leader, the woman ruler in the back, can't control her emotions enough where she starts like preemptively tearing the thing. And her face, this is the best thing. If you get a chance, don't do it now, but do it later. Go watch it when she tears it. You see that
they weren't big stacks, though.
She really
like the fact that she had to pre-tear it, I'm really concerned for her health.
Well, she's also like, what, 105 years old?
Yeah.
And so it's probably hard. Yeah. So, but she pre-tears him. But if you watch, when she does tear him, she looks over at her team, too. She's like, her big goo-goo eyes come out. So she tears it, and big goo-goo eyes like, you guys see what I'm doing? You see what I'm doing? And this is why we don't want women rulers.
That's true.
I said it. And if you guys are like, oh my gosh, that's
such a feat of strength.
That's so countercultural, and Christians aren't supposed to speak like that. Well, I'd like to talk like Isaiah in Isaiah 3:12, where it says, "Oh my people, their oppressors are children, and women rule over them." It was considered a judgment of God to have women rule over a nation, and that's just, we got to ask the question: do you want to be biblical, or do you want to placate to the culture, the current culture you're in? We're Christians. We're Christian pastors. We love the Lord. Whoa, did we lose it? Am I still on?
You're on. It just got really quiet.
Can you guys hear me? Am I in your ears?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, maybe.
Nope,
you're not.
Nope. Well,
maybe push it in some.
Well, how about that?
There it is.
There? Okay.
All right.
Is that better? Okay.
Time to replace the cable.
That's right. We need new cables. These are about 10 years old. No big deal. Well, so the culture we live in today has been overrun by feminism, the feminazis, and cultural Marxism, and just so much cultural decay and transformation that even evangelical Christians, people who would have once be seen as fundamental Christians, that word has changed even in itself, have essentially succumbed and yielded to the culture in the area of like proper gender roles. And one of the things that's clear in Scripture is that it's a judgment of God to have women rulers over a nation.
Right.
And I'm going to say, look, we're all sinners. Men are going to sin as rulers as well. So this isn't to say, like, if you have men, you're going to have a sinless society. No, proper roles will be in place. But here's the problem. Look, when you have a woman Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, sitting in the back behind the president, there's a certain amount of decorum, a certain kind of decorum that should exist there. She's rolling her eyes in the back. She cannot contain herself.
Yeah.
As an old grandma, she can't contain herself in the back to not. She misbehaves the whole entire time. She's not paying attention. She's rude. She's disrespectful.
Yeah.
She can't.
It could be the alcohol too.
Who knows what's going on? So then she tears it up. I mean, when in history, in the American history, has something like that happened? It's just a terrible, terrible.
I saw something that it's actually illegal. I don't know if that's true or not. I
read that too. Yeah, to destroy documents in that room like that.
Of course. If any one of us were to run up there and grab it and rip it, we'd be arrested for destroying.
You wouldn't make it up there, but
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe now I can.
Yeah. With your new heart stuff.
I'll make it at least halfway.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, like, even in a situation like in a smaller version, it's just a ministry like this. If any of us in this ministry had done something that was a violation of proper decorum, or just something that was bad, it was just altogether, you don't do that, you don't behave in that way, we'd get checked.
Yeah.
Within this little realm right here, we'd be like, you can't do that, you can't misbehave like that, stop doing that. We would check one another. This is the State of the Union speech. This is like the highest level of government
in the world.
She needs to get spanked.
The best tweet I saw was it said, Donald Trump's superpower is making people behave the way they think he is.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It really is incredible. If she doesn't get in trouble for it,
it'll be interesting.
It'd be surprising.
I had a lot more respect for Mike Pence now. You know, he sat there like she didn't exist the whole time. I would have been like throwing her like backhand. Like I don't know. I've been doing something.
Yeah,
He's just like
I have to admit that I'd probably be looking at my jaw going like the whole time. Like what are you doing?
I told Shirley like you know how he calls his wife mother? He took a lot of heat for that
Yeah.
when they won and stuff. I feel like he always just sits back with this grin like,
Yeah.
we did it, mother. Mother, we did it.
And, you know, the thing that people say about the beginning of Trump, like, snubbed her with a handshake, I want to be fair, because we have to always be just.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to be fair. So I looked at it, and I was like, wait a second. Like, he handed it to Pence and to her.
Yeah.
And he didn't shake Pence's hand.
No.
And, like, also, he handed it to her, and he goes to turn around when she put her... I don't think it was like a...
But I think that I could be wrong on this, but I heard that he absolutely did ignore her at the prayer breakfast today.
Oh, he did? Okay.
So
yeah,
I think it's just a thing of, like, he's the president, and one of the worst things you could do is just ignore somebody.
Right.
Especially somebody who wants power.
Well, keep in mind that she also just tried to impeach him, like, earlier the other day, so...
Yeah. I mean, she can't control herself. So, hey, just for fun, I want to play this for everybody. I think this is a really cool little clip here. This is from years ago. This was when Palin was running alongside, why am I losing it? McCain.
Yeah.
So this is CNN, and this is Pastor Voti on CNN. I want you to hear. This is a hero. This man is a hero on CNN saying this.
Last time on CNN.
Yeah, he wasn't. They said, "We'll have you back." They did not have him back. No. Yeah, here's Pastor Voti when Palin was brought into the race.
And she could potentially lead a country, but she'd be banned from leading many congregations. So why does Sarah Palin seem to be winning over so many evangelicals? Let's bring in two people who may have some answers for us. Woody Bauckham is a pastor at Grace Family Baptist Church in Spring, Texas, and Margaret Feinberg is an evangelical speaker who lived in Alaska for 5 years and saw Palin get elected to governor. Good to see you both.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Margaret, let's start with you. I want you both actually to touch on this quickly. Why does her faith matter?
Her faith matters because it says a lot about who she is as a person and her outlooks on life and the policies that will come to play in our nation.
Reverend Bauckham?
I agree completely. Political ideology is really an outgrowth of our religious beliefs. You can't separate what a person believes from how a person will govern. So I think it's incredibly important that we know where people stand on religious issues.
So, Margaret, why do you think she's winning over these evangelicals that have been so skeptical of McCain?
I think on one hand, she's known for her conservative values, and that's translated in her leadership and her time in Alaska. But I think also for younger evangelicals, there is a hunger to see a more exciting ticket. There was kind of a ho-hum factor for McCain, but when Palin came on board, she added the vavoom that was so needed in order to garner the attention and the excitement for young evangelicals.
And here's what's interesting, Reverend Bauckham, she's winning over church members, church leaders that don't even allow women to preach at the pulpit, yet she could be leading the country. What do you make of that?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. The bottom line on that is people look at this ticket and their fear is that we will have Barack Obama as our president, that we will be moved toward a socialist agenda, that we would have the most radically pro-abortion candidate ever to run for president to serve in that office. And that is an untenable position for evangelicals. And so they look at this and they're trying to decide this based on what's best for the nation in the here and now, and oftentimes overlooking some of those other issues.
Do you think that that's something that, are you saying that shouldn't be overlooked? I mean, do you think that women in evangelical circles where women are not allowed to preach, let's say Palin and McCain do win, and here you have this woman that could possibly be leading the free world, and yet there's evangelicals voting for her that don't even believe that a woman should preach at the pulpit? Could this change the face of how evangelicals believe in the woman's role?
I don't think it'll change the way evangelicals believe about women's roles. I think it has sparked a discussion. And quite frankly, feminism has gained a foothold in many evangelical churches.
Do you think that's a good thing?
No, I don't. Not at all.
Why not?
Well, because we're about the gospel. The culture doesn't dictate truth. The gospel dictates truth. My job is not to be a political pundit or political activist. My job is to be a pastor and proclaim the truth of the gospel as clearly as I possibly can.
Well, wait a minute. What about the Old Testament and the prophet Deborah? I mean, she was a political leader. She was a wife. She was a mother. She was one of the biggest forces in the book of Judges. So that's the gospel right there.
She certainly was. And the fact that something happened doesn't mean that it's normative for the church. In Isaiah chapter 3, for example, one of the signs that a culture is under judgment is that women are in leadership in their nations. So Deborah was actually a sign that things were very bad in Israel, not a norm for the church.
He derailed that whole interview.
Take catch your breath.
Yeah, and also too in Deuteronomy for the requirements for electing officials, it says choose from among you men who are trustworthy, don't take a bribe, and fear God.
Oh man, you're in trouble for saying that today, guys. Isaiah chapter 3 it's not quoted very often in a lot of evangelical churches today. And I know in principle what the Bible says there are women rulers, but there are also practical reasons of why you don't want women in ruler leadership positions like this. And I think a great premier example is what just took place at the State of the Union address with Grandma Gugu.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should say, too...
Sounds like a spaceship's
I know.
in the studio.
The train's coming through the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know if you all can hear that or not.
Yeah.
We should say that we're not...
Is it coming through the studio?
It may be,
Sorry.
We're not Trump apologists.
No.
By any means. I will go on record and say that I feel like I didn't vote for him the first time. I feel like he well exceeded my expectations, and I will be voting for him this time. But... we're not Trump apologists. There's plenty he said in the speech that we were talking about.
We're gonna address.
Yeah, we're like, I didn't agree with that.
Yeah.
So that needs to be said because I had a blast yesterday sharing, like I said, the old memes of Grandma Gugu, and I had people come on, they're liberals, just saying stuff like we just take everything Trump says,
I
for
don't know.
fact. It's like, no, I'm not saying that at all.
I don't know if I would vote for him, mainly just because he's not the husband of one wife.
Sure,
but. I don't think there's ever been a president that I genuinely love and have an affection for, like him. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah,
I remember when I was sitting in that room during election night and he won, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, what is going on?" And then for him to be as good of a leader as he's been, is
it's
mind-boggling.
It was the first State of the Union speech.
Probably more of a Nebuchadnezzar figure.
Yeah,
like there's this. He has this moment.
He's eating grass?
No.
Cow?
Am I picking the wrong?
I'm just kidding. No. I'm kidding.
I think you're right.
Nebuchadnezzar had a moment where he repented and...
No, you're right.
Yeah, I will say that this was one of the first State of the Union addresses where I was actually into what was being said the whole time. I think he did a great job of going through everything that's happened, and it was very emotional. I had tears in my eyes several times.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some powerful moments in the State of the Union address. I think he did it. I think that the nice thing about, this is all politics. We have to understand there's always political stuff and manipulation going on at the highest level. But I do like how President Trump is making at least his appeal to this is about the American people. Yeah. It's about and he's demonstrating it in many ways in terms of what he's done for tax cuts and all the rest. He's trying to say it is about the American people, building businesses and those sorts of things. At the same time, you got to hear this now, because I like what Pastor Luke says. We're not Trump apologists here. We need to be biblical and Christians. On the one hand, you can't say you're fighting socialism. And in the very same speech, you're talking about all the government programs you want to institute and all the different things. It's if there's a spectrum of biblical libertarianism, right? And then there's a Marxism and socialism kind of on this side over here. The conservatives, you understand, the conservatives have just moved over the last 4 decades all the way over to where conservatives today would have been seen as radical leftists back in the 50s and 60s.
That's right.
In terms of what they're willing to do, to the government intrusion, control, those sorts of things. Like we read today, or I saw Marcus posted today, a very popular local political pundit and leader of a Christian conservative thing, trying to get funding for pro-life stuff from the government.
Yeah.
And it's like...
it's more than that. It's the government to dictate certain pro-life organizations.
Right.
It's like government control of pro-life organizations.
Right, and we're against abortion, and we're for the pro-life stuff, and we're saying that's evil. The government has no place in that area.
That's why, like, as a conservative, I can't support regulations on the on abortion, just like I don't support regulations on healthcare or the taxi cab industry or any other industry.
Right. Right. All right. Hey, so let's play something. How about it? Okay. So I got lots of people watching right now live across the damn internets. Make sure you guys share across the internets. We got lots to talk about. So let's just go ahead and play this. This is a portion from the State of the Union speech. This was a very moving portion where he actually had the mother and the daughter, the little girl who was born premature, and she survived. So very moving moment, and I just want to play through this to say, in one sense, praise God, and in another sense, this is not enough. And we need to pray for our president and pray for consistency.
Right.
Because if he has the courage to say what he says here, he needs to go all the way in terms of consistency. So go ahead and play it for everybody so you guys can hear what we're talking about. This is President Trump calls for a ban on late-term abortions, 2020 State of the Union address.
That is why I'm also calling upon members of Congress here tonight to pass legislation finally banning the late-term abortion of babies. Whether we are Republican, Democrat, or Independent, surely we must all agree that every human life is a sacred gift from God. As we support America's moms and dads, I was recently proud to sign.
Okay, so let's do it. Ban the late-term abortions, right? And we have to all agree that every human life is a sacred gift from God. And everyone's like, yes. Okay, so let's go all the way with it. Every human life is a sacred gift from God. Everyone applauds, and I'll talk to the other side. The Republican pro-lifers are there like cheering and applauding it. Yeah. Yes, every gift's a sacred gift. It's like, well, then what are you banning late-term abortions for?
Right.
Shouldn't it be all of them?
Right.
Because every gift, every one of them is a gift from God.
Right. Exactly. So, I think it's pretty simple.
It seems rather obvious. Here's the thing that also drives me bananas, and I'll shut up and let you guys jump in here. But you don't talk about this. This just shows the amount of give and yielding that's taking place in this area.
Right.
Because you got pro-lifers that are sitting there applauding, and they're like, oh, thank God for banning late-term abortions. And I'm going to say, okay, yes, praise God for stopping killing this segment.
Right.
But how about consistency? Because you don't talk like that about sex trafficking.
Right.
Like, can you imagine? President goes up there and says, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to officially ban all sex trafficking of 11 years old and younger. Everyone goes, oh, yay! I think everyone would go, wait.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
Why are you saying that?
Yeah.
Because if it's an evil act, if it's a criminal act in the first place, then what are you doing selecting a segment and saying, well, not 11 years old and under? Like, that's just deplorable. How can you do it to little children like that? It's like, no. Sex trafficking is evil anyways. You're going to stop it, period. It just shows the amount of slippage that's happened morally, ethically in the area of the pro-life movement, that people actually are applauding and thinking this is like a praiseworthy thing, that we've decided that this segment, well, we certainly don't want it to be that gross. We'll stop the cruel practice of late-term abortion. It's like, no, guys, you can't, on the one hand, say every life is precious and it's a gift, and you just can't do it. It's a complete mess. And it's a mess, I'll just say, created and helped by the pro-life movement.
Yeah.
The pro-life movement has helped with this mess because they're constantly in the ear of all the presidents and Republican leaders and all these people that are pro-life, and they're like, good job with that 29-week ban, and good job with that, heartbeat thing, and good job. You're working it's like no, just say it is evil, stop it.
Or the worst ones right now, I think the worst legislation is the Infant Born Alive Protection Acts. Because they're already protected by law. It's called murder.
Yeah.
and so for to spend all this money and try to get all these votes to
it's all
ban
vote
something.
Getting. Yeah.
That's like, but it's all so they can say, well, look what we did. We banned, Jeff Leach is really huge on that.
Exactly. Yeah.
The infant born alive. It's like, that the law already exists. It's called murder.
Yeah.
And
it's already a statute.
Any other person that kills an infant,
there
doesn't need to be special protections for.
Yeah. And call it out where it needs to be called out. We of course want to see victories. We want to see the pro-life movement reform and change in these areas. But you have guys like Jeff Leach who are just absolute phonies.
Yeah.
A guy like Jeff Leach, I have to say, I want to show as much love and respect to the man as possible, but I almost threw up in my mouth when I saw him doing a live stream at the March for Life in Washington, D.C. I'm like, you're the guy that stopped a bill to criminalize abortion, and now you're at the March for Life, pretending like
Jeremiah Thomas he's a hero. You should be so proud of your son. All this stuff, and then goes around and makes deals and just it's corrupt.
It is so,
and then mocks people on the Facebook page that's holding them accountable and calls them trolls.
Yeah,
he's calling him trolls. Everybody's saying, "Hey, didn't you stop a bill to criminalize abortion in Texas? Did you have that opportunity?" He's like, "Oh, a bunch of trolls."
It's like a bunch of trolls.
It's like
the sun is out and the trolls are out.
They could be the people, they could be the people who are praying for you and maybe even voted for you.
Yeah,
and then saw that you're inconsistent.
True.
Here in this area.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that. Start saying late-term sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Late-term sex trafficking.
But I was going to say...
That's awesome.
To Trump's credit, he's done amazing things against sex trafficking. Like, I don't know if you've seen the numbers. He's like arrested more sex traffickers this year than like Obama did in 8 years of office. It's amazing.
He got Epstein.
He did. Epstein got himself.
Yeah.
But
no, he didn't.
I was gonna say, I think that's the point. That clip you played, I think that's the point when he's saying, they're created in God's image and all that, and you see Grandma Gugu and all of her white Dr. Evil fembots in the audience, just like.
They love
rolling their eyes and
they love to dress like their party's founders, don't they?
Yeah.
Woo! The KKK.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Okay.
It's true.
So before we get off this subject, I'm sure we all know they wore white to like honor the suffragettes, right? Like, I was just like, when I was watching with my wife and she like lost it when she's like, why are they wearing white? I told her and she's like, no. I was like, yeah. She's like, she didn't believe me. I was like, no, that's why they're wearing white. Yeah. And so just even in that, the hypocrisy in that, so they're all about, women being able to vote and work and all that. But not all women.
Right.
Because they're also very much for a lot of little women being murdered.
Being slaughtered. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's which women are you going to support their fembots?
Not the 500,000 innocent little women that are slaughtered every year.
Yeah.
Right.
At least that we know of through abortion. Yeah, I just encourage you guys, watch the video if you guys get a chance, again, after the show today. Watch the video of President Trump calls for a ban on late-term abortions. Look it up on YouTube, 2020 State of the Union address. This one was from PBS. It's a good shot. And if you watch Trump as he's talking about late-term abortions here and Every Life Matters, just watch the conflict in this woman's face. Just watch her, not knowing, do I agree with this? But no, I can't. This is against my party. So you just see this conflict, and she wears the conflict right in her face so many times throughout this thing here. So it's a powerful thing to see.
You missed the part in the beginning though, because right before that, he said he wanted to advance prenatal care.
Yeah,
and even the Democrats stood up because it's more government control of healthcare, so they stood up. And then immediately after that, he did the abortion stuff. Like he trapped them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a wise move.
Everything he said was a trap to show where the Democrats stand and where they want.
He was like a magician, wasn't he? He was like pulled out all the stops. Man. He had cards hidden in his sleeves. He was
yeah. Well, I think one of the things that's he was brilliant in many ways like that. I think one of the things that I felt the most, and maybe we'll move on from here at this point. I felt the most was when she tore up his speech at the end. The first thing I thought was like, oh my gosh, that's childish. Second thing I thought was like, ooh, that is highly offensive.
Yeah.
To all those
To all
stories.
the- yeah. Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like the military, the boy and his mom. Did you see that boy comforting his mom?
Yeah.
That was so moving.
Yeah.
Like, his father dies and like she's crying. He's crying. It was like such a moving moment. Like his story, and then the Tuskegee, and then all this.
Rush.
Rush. And then she tears it up. I'm like, you just tore up all those stories. Like, you know, that's the thing.
And then she said there's not an ounce of truth in the whole speech.
I know.
It's
Did you see her today talking about that?
Oh,
her
my
thing
goodness.
today? Yeah. That was amazing.
We know
nothing's true.
Yeah.
The thing about Rush, I had actually seen that in the tearing of the speech clips before I watched the whole thing.
Oh.
And so I sat down with my wife when I got home and I was like, we got to watch this. And I was like, just wait till you see what Pelosi does. It's like the most horrible thing. I can't even believe. And she goes, what'd she do? Like trip on a handicapped person or something? And I was like, well, not, yeah. And then the thing with Rush, you know, and like, here's this guy that, you know, whether you agree with him or not, you know, like that's not, you don't sit there when there's someone that's dying of cancer and just be like, you know, like,
that's Rush Limbaugh, conservative. He's dying of lung cancer. No.
I was live streaming it, so I was like kind of behind because I paused for commentary, and in the comments, my wife she's watching it on the TV live, and she's like, she ripped up the speech, and I was thinking, she must have really hated the speech. But I didn't think she literally ripped up the speech. And so then I'm watching it, I see her do that, and I was like,
no. And I know. And then
She really ripped
the
it up.
photos come out where she is preemptively ripping, and it's like she had the whole thing planned.
Yeah. I mean, and they were little stacks, little stacks.
Yeah.
She had to pre.
Yeah. She knew it. She knew what she was doing. She went into it. She went into it with a plan. Okay, so moving on past State of the Union, we could do a whole show on all the things that President Trump talked about. I don't know anything. Maybe not move off to you. Anything in the speeches that you thought maybe we need to speak to as like a biblical corrective? Like, hey, praise God for what Trump is doing in a lot of areas, but also,
well, the amount of money he's spending on the military is a lot.
Yeah. And Space Force.
Space Force. I say all the time that conservatives are big government tyrants when it comes to military, and then or controlling other nations, and then Democrats are big government tyrants when it comes to controlling individuals. So, but it's all about control. Also, the stuff about I don't know if you know, this is actually good. I mean, the stuff about school choice.
Yeah.
And that, the government shouldn't provide any money for schools.
That's
but
the point.
he actually called it government schools.
He did.
He clarified. He didn't say public schools
He
like
did.
most people. He said governments. And I've never heard a president say that
Ooh,
before.
I didn't even catch
that. So I
that.
thought that was really
He
interesting.
did.
And that had to be
I didn't catch that.
That has to be from DeMoss's influence on him.
Oh, yes.
So so I thought that was really interesting. And then they gave that girl the scholarship so she could choose.
Yeah.
And the Democrats don't stand up.
Yeah.
It's like a black girl's getting a good education. You should be happy for that. And they're sitting down.
No, because the government doesn't control it. We're not in charge of it. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
No, that was a good point. I thought I did notice that, but again, if I had a complaint, it'd be, well, you're still giving government schools
for sure.
a ton of money.
Well, and just drop this so that you might be thinking about it. Don't take offense to this, especially if you're new to Apologia Studios, Apologia Church, and the stuff that we're putting out, stuff on education. What's the name of our friend Colin, the film that he did? We point people to. It's about education, the schools. Oh gosh.
Forgive me, Gunn.
Colin Gunn.
Yes.
The name of the movie. Okay, I'm gonna find it.
Sorry.
I'm gonna give everybody
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination. There you go. Indoctrination is Colin Gunn, our buddy Colin. Great film. Go watch Indoctrination. A lot of people don't realize, Christians today, evangelicals in the West, don't realize that this whole public school education, government school education system, government funding education, controlling education, feeding education, taxing for education, all that stuff, you realize that that's actually relatively newer for the West, that when you had Christian civilizations throughout history, we did pretty well with education on our own. We were leading, actually, when education was Christian and private in the U.S.,
right,
we were leading the world in terms of literacy and all the rest, and all of a sudden, government takes over, not only is it taking money from people through coercion, but now all of a sudden you've got these government indoctrination centers where we've got people saying, well, we really should be teaching first graders about sexual orientation and about masturbation. That's good. And also you have all the different rules that are going on in terms of vaccinations and HPV stuff, giving the kids. New York City wants to talk about giving the HPV vaccination to like all the kids across the board.
No way.
Are you kidding me? If I was in New York right now and I happen to have my child in government schools, I never would. In New York, I'd be fleeing New York.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about putting that poison, the HPV thing, into my daughter, I'd be like, I'm out. Like I'll find a new job. You're not going to poison my child and hurt my child through these things. But they're forcing this stuff in New York City. It's government school nonsense. So like if you're gonna cut down a tree, you don't cut it down at the top and start trimming bushes. You got to rip it up from the root, right? And so like the problem primarily is the education is not a responsibility of the government. It is not the responsibility of the government. So here's what my suggestion is. Education needs to be private. Christians, take your kids and put them back into a Christian program, put them in Christian schools, Christian private schools, or homeschool them. The reason why this stuff keeps going on and on and on is because the liberals and unbelievers and the leftists, the Marxists, are not having kids. The LGBT community can't have kids with their lifestyle, but we keep giving our kids to them.
Right.
Here, take my kids to indoctrinate them. So in essence, I'm saying all the stuff about education funding from the government, here's a way to solve the problem. Take it all away.
Yeah.
Let it all be private. Let it all be private. And yes, it can be done. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
We're doing it now. I mean, at Apologia Church, education, homeschool, private school, all that stuff. Like, we're fine. We don't need the government I don't need the government to put my kid through school.
Right.
No thanks. And if they say, also, can you imagine the amount of taxes that are going into the education system? Let's be honest. Let's use the modern vernacular. It sucks. It sucks. The public school education system just is terrible. So why don't we just keep our own money, thank you, and pay for our own kids' education?
Exactly.
So here's the thing. People say, how would I ever afford it? Well, if we stopped all the taxation for these education systems, you'd have your own money to put your own kids through school.
Right.
So if you let us keep our money, we can fund our own kids' education. So
true that. The only other complaint I think, and I don't even know where I would stand on this, but Trump's immigration policy, that's a whole nother animal we don't have time to get into today. But with his big beautiful wall he's building, I will say this though, I did appreciate something he said talking about illegal aliens coming in and stuff, and I think he clarified where it wasn't like he's saying no aliens. He was saying if an alien comes into this country, we want them to be a part of society. We want them to participate and work and provide. Yes. And and then he went off on not stealing money from the taxpayers to pay for their healthcare, which I appreciated. Right. So I did like that aspect of it.
Socialism will not destroy the healthcare in America. That's what he said.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is that's pretty. That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did love that.
Sitting down like,
Bernie, you saw Bernie fall out of his chair, I think. So.
It's going to be a good year, guys. We're going to get to talk about all these political issues. This is my favorite because we get to talk about live, on the scene, on the street stuff. Like, we get to talk about people's claims in light of Scripture. I mean, and across the board, too. We need to be fair. Like, we need to say, well, President Trump's doing good here and not so well here. Pray for him. Definitely pray for him. Ask God to open his eyes to consistency in this area. But also in the area of the Democratic stuff, it's going to be a blasty blast. It's going to be a blasty blast. It's going to be so much fun.
They're like a circus right now.
Speaking of the circus, can you introduce us to the Iowa thing?
We should probably go to a commercial real quick. Okay. Carmen, do you have commercials ready?
Carmen, do you have commercials ready? I don't even think he's prepped. Are you prepped, Carmen?
Isaac usually does that.
Is he? He's probably in there playing video games.
He probably is. Yeah.
Carmen?
Dude, I'm always ready.
Oh, well, there he is.
Okay, all right. So you ready? Are you ready with commercials?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do this. Everybody, we got a lot of people watching right now, but let's just do this. We're going to come back and talk about the Iowa caucus. We're going to talk about Pete Bernie.
Booty Judge. Said it.
Elizabeth, Joe Biden, all those things. We're going to talk about when we get back. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good conversation here, guys. So stay with us. And we're going to review a quick review of an article that Scott Klusendorf did through Gospel Coalition.
Desiring God.
Desiring God.
It was on Desiring God.
No. Okay, so we're going to talk about that and hopefully offer some help there. And tell you about some important things happening this weekend, actually. So stay with us, guys. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Make sure you guys share it across the internets.
At the Runner Academy, we arm and train emerging leaders to live out their calling in a way that truly honors Christ as the Lord of all things, especially in areas like medicine, law, politics, education, the church, business, and the arts.
The Runner Academy is hosted at the EICC Centre for Reformational Culture, an environment that provides a healthy balance of work and rest, and that stimulates creative discussion for engaging with and shaping culture to the glory of God. On this 24-acre farm and retreat centre, delegates can expect to find challenging teaching, but also fun and fellowship with like-minded Christians who are concerned to recover a vision of God's glory and who are committed to think through what it means to live the Christian life in all its fullness.
Apply today and get equipped to face the critical issues of our time with a deep, rich, and joyful confidence in the Lordship of Jesus Christ over all life and culture.
I want their faith to not just be something that stands, but something around which culture can be built.
We want students who can think critically about arguments, but also about the culture around them, that can then speak clearly to it, and that also have the ability to influence and shape because of the power of their message. Because that's really what the gospel does. The gospel throws down all the arguments against it. It speaks to the hearts of people, it influences, and it changes.
The goal for New St. Andrews College, as it trains its students, is not to make people who will be able to go out and just get jobs, people who will just be bricks in the wall of our society. The goal for New St. Andrews College is to make students into men and women who will really impact culture.
Go to apologiastudios.com, get signed up, partner with us on All Access. You get all of the radio programs, you get the TV show, you get the after show, including Apologia Academy, and you partner with us in ministry, bringing the gospel around the world. All right. Welcome back from our commercial and bathroom break, actually. Luke's still, he's coming back. There he is. All right. So we gotta have like a timer that like it's loud in here that tells everyone 10 seconds.
See, Isaac usually lets us know, like, hey, But Carmen,
well, he did. No, he was letting me know.
Oh, he did. He let you know.
Yeah, I was yelling it.
Didn't let me know.
All right, welcome back, guys. Apologia Radio, Gospel Heard Around the World. Luke the Bear.
What up?
King Ginger. I'm the Ninja, and you get more at apologiastudios.com. APOLOGIA studios.com. Hey, real fast, I want to make sure I mention this. I forgot to mention at the beginning for all of our new listeners. If you go to apologiastudios.com, you not only get like a decade worth of content, radio shows, podcast episodes, just tons of helpful stuff, radio discussions, debates. We've got the best theologians and scholars and scientists. I mean, there's just a wealth of information there. Go check it out, apologiastudios.com. But also, if you sign up for All Access, you partner with us in the ministry and you make everything that happens possible. So whether it's on the street evangelism, if it's a public debate with atheists, like you're behind all that, making all of it possible. So everything that Apologia does in terms of our media outreach and teaching ministry, it's all made possible because of Apologia All Access partners. And so if you've been watching us for some time, if you watch the videos, if you watch teaching, sermon, if you watch on the street evangelism, whatever the case is, I want to encourage you to sign up today. Just go sign up. apologiastudios.com. Be a part of this ministry with us. It doesn't happen without our partners. And so I want to thank everybody who's been with us for years. God bless you and thank you. Thank you for your partnership with us. It's only $9.95, I think, a month. I think is what it is. And when you do that, you partner with us in ministry. You make everything possible. And so please go do it. Do it right now. And make sure you guys are partners in making everything possible with us. Excuse me. All right, so we are back, and I forgot to mention, on the All Access, you get the TV shows, you get the after shows, and you get Apologia Academy. You learn from Dr. White, John Samson, Douglas Wilson, Andrew Sandlin, Joe Boot. I mean, it's just, it's an amazing wealth of information there for you guys. So, we also have plans for something amazing to happen I can't announce yet. That's going to basically turn Apologia All Access, if the Lord gives it to us, into the greatest seminary online ever. And you need to believe that. Believe that. I can't talk about it yet because it's not finalized, but when it happens, I'm going to be screaming through this microphone. So I still got to tell you about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're not going to believe it. Okay. Trust me. Okay. It's going to blow your mind. So we're back. Marcus, tell us about Iowa.
Oh, yes. So the Iowa caucus was a huge disaster for the Democrats. And so essentially, I guess a summary of how it works is everybody goes to a church or a gym or a school, and they gather together, and then they get into groups of who they want to be their nominee, and then the groups decide and argue with each other and fight, and then eventually at the end of the night, each group is whittled down based on the count, and then you have the last person standing, and then that's sent to the state, and then the state tallies everything, and then they pick a winner.
Yeah.
So that's how the system works. But they decided in order to get the results in faster, they would create an app. Now, this app is run by a company called Acronym. Acronym has a political action committee called Pacronym. Acronym is funded by George Soros. This is not conspiracy. Like, I'm not doing the George Soros conspiracy theory stuff. This is on tax documents.
It's just a fact.
It's just been posted, yeah. So $2.6 million to Acronym. Acronym funded this app for a voting app. They called it Shadow.
Why would you call it Shadow?
Well, yeah. So and then they call Pacronym, the political action committee, a dark money, whatever that means. I don't even know. And then they created Shadow. So then so Shadow is the app that had the meltdown. And the app was paid for. Well, the one who runs it worked on Hillary Clinton's campaign, and in the IT department and stuff like that for Hillary Clinton's campaign, and then Pete he donated $60,000, I think, to make this app happen. And so you have to understand, like, I'm
leave it to Marcus to start a dumpster fire and apology.
So I'm not. Hey, look, the mainstream media is not talking about his homosexual. They're not talking about it. They want you to forget it. I'm not going to let you forget.
No,
it.
don't.
So
I just wasn't. I knew it was coming. I wasn't ready for it. Yeah.
He paid $60,000 towards the development of this app, as well as some other minor candidates. And so
you're talking about Pete Buttigieg.
Yes, that guy. And so he announced
Buttigieg.
He announced that he won, and like early.
Yeah.
And then it came out that the results weren't even in yet. And he was talking about how he was victorious and he's going to go on to New Hampshire and it was a big night for him. And none of the results are in yet. So Bernie's campaign started tweeting #Mayor Cheat instead of Mayor Pete. And it was Bernie's campaign that was posting the documents saying that he funded the development of this app. So it's not like a Alex Jones sort of thing. Like this is Bernie's team saying, hey, so like the theory is that the app showed that Bernie won and they couldn't have that. So they said it was a technical failure and they didn't show the results for quote quality control. But yeah. So it's just strange and weird and like digital voting is not good.
Yeah.
It's just there has to be a manual backup for it for sure.
Yep. So go ahead.
Sorry. So what does this mean then as far as so he won the Iowa caucus. So what does that mean moving forward?
Assuming he did win the Iowa caucus.
Assuming that yes.
He gets 41 delegate votes. So those 41 votes get added to a total.
Okay.
And then they'll go to the Democratic National Convention, maybe in, July or August or whenever that is. And then they'll officially present those votes, and then the DNC will nominate the Democratic candidate. So some people are saying that the whole thing was supposed to fail, and then they'll just say at the DNC, they'll just go, you know what? None of those count. We'll just put Hillary Clinton back in.
Wow. Is she still alive?
She is. They can nominate whoever they want at the DNC.
Yeah.
They don't have to go with the delegate choices.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Do you know how many votes are technically required to win that?
No, I don't know.
Just curious. Just curious.
It's just weird.
I think as Christians we should go hard after Pistol Pete as Cross Politic calls him.
Right.
Because he is homosexual and he is
married,
miraged to a man.
Yeah.
And not only that, he claims to also be a Christian.
Right.
And he claims that it's okay in God's eyes.
Right.
So he's just a walking, talking abomination, and so we should go hard after him. We should expose him.
Right. Yeah. We don't. You don't see the apostles or Jesus playing nice.
Yeah.
Always with everybody.
Right. Yeah.
You actually see them saying some pretty hard things to people who are doing devastating things to people's souls or to theology, those sorts of things. And Pistol Pete.
That's what Cross Politic calls him.
Nice. Our friends over there. Okay. What?
Nope, I'm good.
You just made a weird sound.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think you were ready to just unleash.
I was, but then I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay. All right, so the it looks like 90 currently, I'm going to just get the full update here. Okay, so currently right now let's see here. We've got is that showing the delegates? Okay, why is it showing Republican Donald Trump?
Oh, because
he got 97% of the votes.
There was an actual caucus for the
Iowa?
RNC.
In Iowa?
Yeah, they still do it.
They didn't use shadow votes or anything for Trump?
No
shadow dark money?
No.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. We've got what looks like Pete is at 26.2% with 97% reporting. Sanders is at 26.1%.
See? I'm telling you, the Democrats, the Bernie Sanders supporters, they're not going to tolerate Bernie getting the backhand like he did in 2016. So, and I honestly think, Bernie is Trump's This is the best chance against Trump, I think.
Yeah.
That would be my
because
pick.
it's just the complete.
If he lives that long,
it's a complete opposite. People can get behind him. And,
Yeah. Marxist.
Yeah.
if he lives that long,
Communist.
I know.
So is Bernie upset that Buttigieg took 90% of his votes? That's a communist joke.
I got it.
Marcus was starting to give me a
took me a second. He was like, let me get the answer out. He's like, wait a second. Well, so it's got Pete is 11 delegates. Bernie is 11 delegates. Elizabeth Warren, 5 delegates. Joe Biden, 0 delegates. Zero.
Did you hear? I listened to this actually at Cross Politic on the way here today. He was I might have been there. I don't know where he was at something, and they asked him who he would use for vice president or whatever. And there's a long thing about how he said he knows some good like colored women or something like that. But then he literally was like, plus I'm old, and so I need someone that I know can be president.
Yeah,
because I'm old right now.
Yeah. So, hey, Eric.
Way to draw out the enthusiasm.
Eric Yeager asked, I thought the delegates were split 3 ways.
He knows way more about politics than me, so he's probably right.
Well, I'm not even sure. So he's referring to what you were saying.
He was talking about what I was saying.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's possible. But here, I'm just looking at the current things, 97% reporting, and you've got Pete it's 26.2. 550 count to 547 count in terms of votes. 3 votes.
Do they split those delegates?
I don't know how that works. So you got 3 votes, 97% reporting. So obviously more can report. But I mean, I'll be honest. The whole time I've been watching the debates and everything else, I never saw this guy Pete as like. Did anybody think he was in the running?
Not even like charismatic or anything. It's just because I think it's because he's gay and he's a mayor. And so they're like, here's our token guy.
I read an article that showed that he has connections to like a lot of CIA operations and stuff too. I don't know how true that is. But the article was pretty good.
Just throw it out
there. The article, I'm just saying the article was really good. He comes out of nowhere. Yeah. Where did he come from?
By the way, this is off subject, but did you see Bernie finally released his tax records? And guess what? He's in the top 1%.
Is he really? I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wonder if he's willing to give up 90% of his income.
Yeah, for reals. Yeah. All right. So we have limited time left. Luke, let's run through some of that article. We are going to talk about an article written by Klusendorf. What's it called? The title is Abortion Dies by 1,000 Votes.
In stereo. Okay. Why pro-life advocacy isn't compromised.
Okay.
There's a lot here. So, first of all, he uses, if you guys didn't see this, it's on Zion God, and he uses some ridiculous, and I don't even know if this is a real story. I'm assuming it's an analogy of an Arab guy that is trying to end like underage marriages and stuff, and he uses this as like an analogy for the pro-life movement, which is it's just a terrible analogy. But I just want to say from the beginning through this article, like reading it, I was like, does he even understand actually how this process works? Because like his argument is for incrementalism, and it's against what we're promoting. It's against what we're trying to do with abortion, abolition and stuff. It is like, but I'm like,
criminalize over.
Does he even understand how this process works? Is my first thought, because there's stuff he's saying. I'm like, that doesn't happen. Like the biggest thing for me is he basically accuses abolitionists of holding up pro-life bills because it's not all or nothing, and I'm like, when has that happened? That's not what happens. It's the other way around. It's the pro-life movement that's holding up abolition bills. Jeff Leach, for example, they're the ones that are doing this. It's I've never seen any abolitionists like hold up any of these pro-life bills. That's not happening. And like and that was one of his big arguments.
Well,
and I was just like, what?
I thought it was interesting. One of the articles he did was he came up with he was talking about sex trafficking. And you flipped it earlier in the show. Yeah. You flipped the sex trafficking argument, and you said that if we applauded, hey, we're only going to outlaw late-term sex trafficking, people would be like, no, that's crazy. But he uses that as it would be a good thing.
Yeah, he does. 97%, he says. So if we could save 97%, Like, why isn't it a good thing? And then I'm thinking, is there an abortion pro-life bill that's saving 90% of the babies being aborted? Because I haven't seen it.
Right. Are pro-life advocates compromising when they support legislation that stops short of a total ban? I would say most of the time, yes.
Yeah, we often say, of course, it's a popular slogan of ours, that God strikes straight blows with crooked sticks. So we're grateful to God for every straight blow that God strikes with a crooked stick, but God's not calling us to go around looking for pick crooked sticks to hit people with.
But I think we're in a position. I think we're in a position now. Like I've heard the arguments that say, well, if you regulate if you regulate abortion at a certain time, you're not saving the lives of the people before that, right? But I think there's another way to look at this too, in the sense of the economics of regulations, because I think that actually, because if you look at it in the way of like, well, at least you're saving some, but I would argue that you're actually giving more power to the pro-choice movement when you regulate the industry, because it goes the other way into abortifacient pills and Walmart selling abortifacients and stuff like that. And now you have babies that are being aborted at we'll never know the number at that point. We'll never know the number.
Yeah.
So this is why how regulations work. Like I said this before, the taxi cab industry was highly regulated in New York City. And you had to pay $1 million for a medallion that lets you drive a taxi cab.
Yeah.
And then comes Uber and Lyft, and now the taxi cab industry is in like utter failure.
Right.
Well, it would be stupid to say that that nobody takes a taxi anymore. Well, they do. It's just with Uber and Lyft.
Mm-hmm.
So way more. People take Lyfts and Uber. Like I never took a cab.
Who calls a cab anymore?
I never took a cab, but I use Uber and Lyft all the time.
Right.
So it was the regulation on that industry that created Uber and Lyft and destroyed. So you can't say that nobody does ride sharing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so and it happened with the vaping and cigarette industry.
Yeah.
Cigarette industry regulated themselves to keep competitors out. And the result was vaping, and that's was completely unregulated, and it just blew up really quick. Was a better product altogether, and so to say that regulation is actually saving those babies, or whatever, it's making it worse.
Yeah, and also there's a distinction between how Klusendorf, and by the way, he has Klusendorf is big on the sled argument.
Yeah, it's amazing, fantastic.
The man in a lot of areas is very, very helpful. So thank God for all the ways that Klusendorf is helpful. But come on, look, Reformation doesn't work like that. You don't just say, well, like all is well, everything must just be fine as it is. No, look, the pro-life movement is failed.
Yeah.
It is a failure. Look, if you're talking 60 plus million babies deep, don't tell me it's a success. It's not a success. We've beat Hitler and Stalin and Mao. Like we're killing babies by the metric ton. Don't say the pro-life movement is doing well as far as it goes. It's not. And you've got arguments from guys like Scott Klusendorf that are helping to maintain the status quo. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm not saying that he's a horrible man. I'm saying that his methodology is unbiblical. His grounding is not biblical. He's not looking at Scripture in terms of saying, how should this be approached? And there's a very, very faulty premise through this whole entire thing. It runs through all the pro-life argumentation in terms of incrementalism. And that's that we have to contend with Roe v. Wade. No, you don't. No, you do not. Right. This shows how we're susceptible to cultural argumentation to the degree that the pro-choicers say it so much, the pro-lifers start to believe it, and then we reformulated how our system of government works based upon pro-choice arguments. Who creates law according to our Constitution? Congress, not the Supreme Court. Supreme Court gave an opinion, a very bad opinion, 40 some odd years ago. They give a very bad opinion that is demonstrably false based upon all that we know about biological science. It is a false ruling. It's terrible. And we've decided, even though our country is set up a certain way in terms of our founding documents, Roe v. Wade's a law. We're going to contend with that. No, you don't. All the states need to do is uphold their laws in regard to murder. We need to do away with these incremental laws that the pro-life movement has put on the books of the states that actually legalize abortion in their state. Did you know that? And we need to just criminalize abortion, ban it, right? So when you look at something like Klusendorf, when he's talking about this, you have to understand he's not coming at it from a perspective of, say, Scripture defines this, explicitly Christian needs to be our position. This is a gospel-centered issue through and through. And you're also forgetting explicit commands in Scripture like in Isaiah chapter 1 and 2 and Isaiah 10. How about this? Woe to those who decree iniquitous decrees, and the writers who keep writing oppression, to turn aside the needy from justice, and to rob the poor of the people of their right, that widows may be their spoil, and that they may make the fatherless their prey. There are decrees, iniquitous decrees, bad statutes and laws that make fatherless children prey.
Yeah.
And this kind of methodology that says, well, let's say that, let's not kill the kids that are let's not kill the kids that are really big. Right? Like if it really looks like a baby, that's gross. So let's just say that's guys, isn't this obviously disgusting? Don't kill the bigger babies in the womb. Like, let's just kill the 20 and under.
Yeah.
Like, and we're saying, okay, so watch, you write, I'm sorry, just real fast. Yeah. You write a decree that's an iniquitous decree that says, as a pro-lifer, you say, ladies and gentlemen, we've had success here. Now we're only going to kill babies that are 25 weeks and under. We're only going to kill those babies. And everyone goes, yay, victory. And what have you done? You've made all the 25 week and under children prey. They're prey because of an iniquitous, evil law that you've put into place. Now, again, I'm not saying all these pro-life leaders that are even cognizant and aware of this, but you're making children prey through these sinful laws that are being passed. Yeah. It's wrong. It's wrong. And you know what it takes? It takes courage. It takes courage to say, hey, guys,
that's absolutely right.
We need reformation. It's wrong. We're doing it wrong. Stop killing babies. And again, my challenge to Klusendorf would be the same challenge I said to President Trump at the beginning. I would say, Scott, my friend, rewrite your article, but change the context to sex trafficking. Right? Make the incremental argument you're making, make it in regards to sex trafficking, and let's see how it goes over.
Yeah. Two things. First thing I want to say is, one, the pro-choice movement are not incrementalists. I posted a headline the other day where it said it was either Virginia or New York. I don't remember which one. I'm thinking Virginia. Virginia makes a move to eliminate all pro-life legislation in the state of Virginia. Yeah. So all the all that stuff gone. Just the pro-choice movement. And I shared it, and I said the pro-choice movement abolished pro-life movement, like just instantly. Yeah. And then the other thing too is this incrementalism gets into the church and how the church operates and functions. So you see it within like the Southern Baptist Convention and them trying to get rid of critical race theory. It's like all these tiny slow steps, or the PCA with revoice, all these tiny slow steps as opposed to just getting rid of it. Yeah. And so this move that, this is the right way to handle these fights through these small, tiny steps gets into the church when we need to fight now. We don't know how to do it anymore, and we think we can just do these tiny little things when stuff needs to happen immediately.
And that's a good point. Because there are some issues, I would argue, you can take steps to work your way through, but those aren't life or death issues.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you might have stuff that's happened in the culture and society that the government has sinned and put all these regulations or things into place, and people are sort of like now anchored into that. And if you just rip it gone, now all of a sudden you got families hurting, children hurting. Right. In situations like that, you're like, you might want to take some steps over like a period of time to work that down. But I'm not talking about in the context of life or death issues. Right. This is life and death. Children dying. Yeah. There's the difference.
Or souls going to hell.
Right. In situations like that, you do what's courageous and has to be done. And here's the thing. Look, I know. Look, we look radical. We have been kicked out. I won't even mention the name. Let me just say this right now. I've been contacted over the last couple of years by 2 of the world's biggest Christian ministries, two, that I couldn't believe I was being contacted by, and they initially wanted me to be help to them and to work with them in the area of pro-life stuff, because they saw all that God was doing in Abortion Now. But as soon as we started conversations, as soon as they started actually getting down to going, well, how do we do this? What's going on? They were like, too radical.
Yeah.
Nope. Can't have anything to do with you. And these are organizations that you have heard of and you know quite well. And they were like, that's a little bit heavy. Not sure we want to go that direction. So you're going to listen. You stay consistent. You stand on the word of God. You fight for justice. You'll lose friends. You'll be ostracized, maybe even from the pro-life community. You'll be seen as radical. But let me ask you a question. What's your duty before God? That's the question. You know, I'm going to stand, Lord willing, we will stand before the Lord when we're done with our race, and we'll be able to say, at least with clean hands, Lord, in this area, I wanted to obey you and to protect these children consistently. And I don't want the Lord to ask me, Jeff, why weren't you courageous enough to just stand up and say and do the right thing? Well, Lord, I didn't know it was too big, and it seemed so hard. It seemed impossible. Well, nothing's impossible with God.
Yeah.
Like, why are we asking for the big things? Why are we pandering and placating to the pro-choice movement? Why are pro-lifers so afraid to simply do the right thing and to do the biblical thing and to stand for justice?
Yeah. So I was just going to say quickly, I know we're low on time here. There was two other things I remember that bothered me about the article. One, he tried to use the example of Abraham Lincoln as an incrementalist, and I think he just has a bad view of history there. But
we could do a whole show on Lincoln. We're not going to talk about that right now.
Here's the one I just thought it reminded me. This is the one that I was in line at the DMV getting my stupid $25 Gold Star Major's license, which is a racket.
Another example of a racket.
So I'm reading this in line, and I wanted to like punch somebody in line. So here's what he said. Basically, it's under the title "Saving as Many as Possible." It says, first, it assumes that pro-lifers have the power to immediately end abortion, but simply won't. This is simply not true. Pro-life advocates do not have the power to say which children live and which ones die. The federal courts did that when they ruled that no unborn children have a right to life. People, they're listening. It's a lie. There's no truth to that whatsoever. We can use Texas as an example. We can use Oklahoma as an example. That the government in those two states absolutely had the power to end abortion, and they chose not to.
They did.
Yeah.
So pro-lifers.
Don't tell me that pro-lifers don't have that ability and power to do so. And then, like you said earlier, he then blames the federal courts.
Right.
That don't make laws.
Cowards.
It's just, it's
cowards.
what it is.
The Supreme Court does not create law. Exactly. There is no law for abortion. Congress has made no law with reference to abortion. Right. The Supreme Court gave a very ignorant, foolish, iniquitous ruling. It's just a ruling. So the states should look to that ruling and say, no, you're not going to murder babies in our state. And somebody says, well, I don't know, man, that's tough stuff, man. Okay, you really do that? They do it with marijuana. And you know what's amazing about the marijuana issue? Not only do you have court rulings, federal court rulings about marijuana, you actually have federal law regarding marijuana. And these states, mine is one of them, Arizona, California, Oregon, Nevada, like recreational, you can't go anywhere in Las Vegas right now without getting a contact high.
Seriously.
I'm not kidding. It's insane. You get a contact high everywhere you go. And here all these states are just so courageous, so courageous. I don't care what the federal courts say. I don't care what federal law says.
90% of counties in Virginia declared sanctuary city for guns.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't care because it's wrong. It's immoral. But we do it, but we won't do it for children. We won't do it for babies. That's the thing is, and people have, you're going to sound so radical saying this, but as my friend said, if we love babies as much as we loved our marijuana, abortion would be illegal tomorrow in most states.
And this brings up a perfect example. And I want to be kind to this man because it's someone we're going to try to help. But it was Governor Ricketts from Nebraska, Cross Politics had him on. Did you listen to that show, Marcus?
No.
You need to listen to it. So he on the Roe v. Wade day or whatever issued an official proclamation in Nebraska, like, let's pray to end abortion. Like, all right, good for you. Like, and the guys across politics were like, all right, that's awesome, thank you. Now what are you going to do about it? You know, and so he, like, they're asking him the right questions. It's like he wants to end abortion, but when it came down to it, they're like, so are you afraid of the federal government coming in? And he said, yeah. And they're like, so why can't you just, like marijuana, just, you know, defy the federal government and say, you know, we're not gonna bow to you? And he basically said, well, I'm worried about my staff. And I was like, there you go, there's your answer. He's afraid to lose his job as governor. He's afraid that his staff will lose their jobs, and that's what it boils down to.
Status, position,
and so
money.
We got to help those guys like that want to do the right thing but are afraid. We need to get behind them and support them.
Big things are happening, though. But we'll end on this. We're going to Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, there's that. Speaking of Oklahoma.
We're going to Oklahoma in 2 days. We're all three of us and our team are going to be on a flight to Oklahoma, and we're going to be there till next week. We're going to be there for Abolition Day, 10 a.m., Oklahoma City Capitol Building, Oklahoma City, State of Oklahoma. Be there 10 a.m. We're going to be there. Marcus is going to be there, and we're going to be filming stuff, so you guys will get some of the live stream if you don't show up there with us. But let me just say this. Come. If you're in Oklahoma, Texas, surrounding, anywhere you can get there, sorry, get there. Stand with us. We want 10,000 people to be standing with us. There is a bill, SB 13, Senator Joseph Silk is directing all that and pushing that forward. It is a bill to criminalize and abolish abortion in the state of Oklahoma. It can happen. It can happen. There's pro-life. It's a pro-life legislature. It should happen.
Yeah.
Do you know who stopped it last time? Tony Lowinger.
Exactly.
The vice president of National Rights of Life. Isn't that interesting? Pro-life organization stopping a bill to criminalize and end abortion. Very interesting. There is a curtain here you need to look behind, brothers and sisters.
Babies Are Still Murdered here talks about that.
Yeah.
Also, too, I don't know if they've released it yet, but when I was in Georgia for the G3 conference, I did a cross-politic episode. It was me and Ricardo Davis, who's head of Georgia Right to Life.
I haven't seen it.
And he talks about, I don't think they've released it yet, but it's coming. And he talks about the corruption of the political lobbies.
Ooh, he's got some stories.
It was amazing. And so I want to get out there this year and interview him and do some stuff.
Lord willing, but that's
it's in the top of my priority.
Good. All right, guys, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We did. More's coming. Oh, I can't wait for this election year. It's going to be so much fun. So make sure you guys go to apologiastudios.com, partner with us, join with us in this ministry, sign up for all access, get access to all the stuff, get in now, because I'm going to tell you this right now. Get in all access now, because what's coming, you want to be grandfathered in. Trust me. You want to be grandfathered in, and knowing what I know, if the Lord gives it to us, knowing what I know now,
that's a good selling point.
I would be going, there's no way that's going to be possible, and no way. And for $9.95 a month to have access to that kind of seminary, it doesn't make any sense. So do it now. All access. Be a partner with us. Make everything possible with us. That is King Ginger. Make sure you guys watch his film, Babies Are Still Murdered, here on Amazon Prime and on YouTube and on Facebook.
Hey, we got 330 reviews.
I was going to ask about that.
I get like documentary recommendations in my Prime, and they don't have that many reviews. So like we have 330 reviews. Most of them are 5-star, but the 1-star reviews are awesome.
We'll have to read through those.
We should do that because they're
we
pretty
should
great.
read through them next time. Time. All right, that's the bear.
Peace out.
I'm Jeff, the Coleman Ninja. This is Apologia Radio, gospel heard around the world. Thanks for watching. Tell someone, share the show, let them know what's up. Catch you next time.